Hello and welcome back to my RC channel. I'm AndyRC and today I'm going to be taking a look at the DJI Mavic Air. Now, as this is a 4K capable aerial photography quadcopter, this video is also going to be available in 4K. Now, this is the standard edition of the Mavic Air, and I would usually advise everyone to go for the Fly More combo because with that you get 3 batteries and you get a nice bag to carry it around in and you get a charging hub. However, I got a great deal with this one through GearBest and it was an offer that I couldn't refuse. So I've gone and got the standard version, then I'm going to buy some extra batteries. By the way, at the moment there is a promotion through GearBest. It is their 4-year anniversary. So I'll link that in the below because there's some great deals on there as well. Now, I was really on the fence about getting this because I already have the Mavic Pro, and yeah, this has some really nice new features, but when I look at the useful features that it has compared to the Mavic, it didn't seem that much different. But if you are also on the fence whether to get this and any of the other DJI models, what I've done is I've created a spreadsheet comparing them all. So on the DJI website, you can actually compare their models directly. They are very transparent over the differences between their products, and that doesn't surprise me really, because every time I review a DJI product, I always feel like it's not the best that it could be, and they do that on purpose. You see, there always seems to be like a feature missing that you know that they could have added, but if they did, it might make one of their other products obsolete. And I would much prefer the product to be the best it could be, but there you go, I'm not a business person. So yeah, you can compare them directly. The only thing is they compare absolutely everything, and you can only compare 3 at a time. So what I've done is I've made a spreadsheet of all of the things that are important to me, and I have listed the Spark, the Mavic Air, the Mavic Pro, and the Phantom 4 Pro. I could have done more like the P3, however I feel like this is the latest and current tech from DJI, so I'm going to be comparing these ones. So they are in order of price, first of all, so obviously the cheapest one is the Spark, and there's 2 prices because you usually get a standard version and then a Fly More version. So as you can see, the Mavic Air is the second to the cheapest, and then we have got the Mavic Pro and the Phantom 4. Then I've listed the flight time. Now I have modified the flight time to be more realistic. So when I reviewed the Spark, I got a 13-minute flight time before the battery warning kicked in, and that was the standard battery warning. So yes, it can go for longer, maybe 16 minutes, but I got 13 minutes out of mine. The Mavic Air apparently will fly for 21 minutes, but realistically probably 18, and if I land on the first warning, probably 15 minutes. Then the Mavic Pro, 23 minutes, and the Phantom 4 Pro, 25 minutes. So out of all of these, I do think the Phantom 4 Pro has the best specifications. Alright, it doesn't fold down, it's not as portable, but if I want the best video footage or the best photos, I'll still get the Phantom 4 Pro out every time. So next, range. Now this is interesting because if you are in the USA, you'll be using the FCC version, and you can see the range drastically changes here. So for the Spark, FCC is 2,000 meters, but in Europe, it's only 500 meters. The Mavic Air, you can see, is 4,000 meters, but the CE version, just 2,000 meters. And then if we compare that to the Mavic Pro, 7,000 meters and 7,000 meters for the P4 Pro as well. I thought this was interesting. Again, this is just all off the DJI website. The Mavic Pro in CE mode will actually go further than the Phantom 4 Pro. And of course, you can unlock whether you are in the FCC version, but I'm not going to go into that. So, max speed. You can see the Spark 31 mile per hour, and then the Mavic Air 42, so actually faster than the Mavic Pro, and then the Phantom 4 Pro is the fastest. Then, obstacle avoidance. So the Spark has 2 directions in its infrared. The Mavic Air has 3 directions, so forward, backward, and down. The Mavic Pro has forward and down, and then the Phantom 4 Pro has sideways avoidance, forward and back and down, so again, that one is winning there. Gimbals, fairly straightforward. The Spark is the only one that has a 2-axis gimbal, and it uses image stabilization on the third, and then we've got 3-axis for the rest of them. And then the camera, you see we have got 12 megapixels across the board except for the Phantom 4 Pro, which is 20 megapixels. And then looking at the video megapixels, we've got 2.1 for the Spark and then 8.8 for the rest of them. Now, field of view, this is an interesting one because the field of view on the DJI website is listed, I think, for photos. But when you start using video, it does start to crop a little bit. So the Spark has a really narrow field of view in video. It's 55 degrees, and that is because it needs to crop it for the image stabilization. The Mavic Air has got 85 degrees, which you can see is more than the Mavic Pro. And then the Phantom 4 has got 84 degrees field of view. So if we look at the sensor size, it is the same across the board here, except for the Phantom 4 Pro, which has a 1-inch sensor. And then the max frame rate here at 1080p, you can see the Spark's 30 FPS. The Mavic Air is 120 FPS, which I think is interesting. The Mavic Pro, 96 frames per second. Now, when I reviewed the Mavic Pro, I was really disappointed in the higher frame rate performance. It did pixel binning, so you couldn't really use any of the footage above 30 FPS. And then the Phantom 4 Pro also does it 120 frames per second. And then if we look at the 4K max frames per second, obviously the Spark has none, but the Mavic Air does 30, same as the Mavic Pro, and the Phantom 4 Pro does 60 FPS. I can't help but think that the Mavic Air could have done 4K 60 FPS, but then if it did do that, it might have outdone the 4K Pro. The reason why I'm thinking that is you can see they both do 1080p at 120 frames per second, which suggests that it is capable of doing more processing than the Mavic Pro, but there you go. So the 4K bitrate, again, interesting. We have 100 megabit for the Mavic Air, whereas the Mavic Pro only does 60 megabit, and again 100 megabit for the Phantom 4 Pro. So this is where the Mavic Air is doing things that the Mavic Pro cannot. But when we look at the control, it is using Wi-Fi, same as the Spark. I believe OcuSync has better latency in the video. That's not really going to be too much of a problem with a GPS quadcopter, and there's latency here anyways, but it's interesting that they have not used OcuSync on the Mavic Air, and therefore it is favourable to go with the Mavic Pro. So it's really a blurred line between these two for sure. So if we move on to the special features, the Spark has hand gestures, but the Mavic Air also has hand gestures. It's also got the new sphere panorama, which I'm looking forward to checking out. It's got APAS. This is where the model avoids objects. Now, it really does slow down the model when in that mode, so it's really for beginners, and it's not a huge thing, but it is a new feature. Now, if we move over to the Mavic Pro, I have put unlockable as a feature. So yes, you can actually hack the firmware of the Mavic Pro and completely unlock its height and its distance. And I'm sure that might be the case with the Mavic Air as time goes on, but for now, you can only do it with the Mavic Pro, really. And with the Mavic Pro, we've got the exposure value adjust on the controller, which we haven't got on the Mavic Air. And something that I thought was interesting as well is the Mavic Air does not have C4K, which is just a slightly higher resolution. Again, I can't help but think that the Mavic Air could have done that, and they are just picking and choosing features to make you go with either one of these. And then over to the Phantom 4 Pro, it's got a mechanical shutter, and that is just for photos, and it's to help with rolling shutter when taking photographs. And you've got an adjustable aperture on the P4 Pro, and you've got your exposure control again, and you've got the C4K option, and of course, you know, it does 60 FPS 4K. As well. Then onto the controller battery. I thought this was important because the battery in the Mavic Pro's controller is terrible. It seems to be fine on the Spark, and it seems to be good on the Mavic Air because it doesn't have that on-screen display, which I'm glad about because you never look at it anyways. And then the Phantom 4 Pro, because it's a huge controller, it's got the best battery in its controller. In fact, I don't think I've ever had to recharge it which is pretty impressive. And then storage, this is a new one just for the Mavic Air. It's got an internal 8GB storage, which I am going to be turning off, because if you are using 4K, that is going to fill up very quickly. So I hope that was useful for you. I think to conclude, the Mavic Air does some things better than the Pro, and the Pro does some things better than the Air, and you just need to decide which of those features suits you the best. And I'll link to that comparison website as well, because those are just the specifications and features that are specific to me that I'm interested in. But for example, you might be interested in the aperture, and you can go on their website and take a look at that. Anyways, let's get this guy unboxed. So we have got the seal here, so there's no turning back now. So if I open this here, it looks like we have got the quadcopter on the top, and wow, it is really small if it's fitting in there. So this is the pouch that you are given with the standard version, and let's take a look at it. Now, it is very small. I was expecting it to be a Spark, really, but actually, if I grab the Spark, which I've got here, it's actually quite a bit bigger than the Spark when it comes to the body. Yeah, it folds down to be smaller, but actually its footprint, I would say, is larger. So it isn't a Spark with more features. It's actually a bit bigger. In fact, I've got the Mavic Pro here, and it's not a huge amount smaller than the Mavic Pro. I imagine when the arms are folded out, it might be smaller. So let's take a look at that. So I think these are the front arms here, because when you unfold a Mavic Pro, it's actually not that much smaller than a P4 Pro. So yeah, if we take a look at that against the Spark, they have literally created one that is in the middle, haven't they, between these, so I can put them all on top of each other there, and you can see it goes like a tower of drones. So the props actually do not fold, it is just the arms. We do have some folding legs here at the front, and we've got all sorts of stickers everywhere, so I'm going to remove all of these. We've got stickers on every single arm. Is that necessary? Okay, let me remove all of these. So we've got a big sticker underneath here for the gimbal, so I think we just unclip that, and there's the gimbal. Big sticker on the battery, so the battery is already in place here, and that just unclips like so. And at the back, this is where the micro SD card goes in there, and we've got a USB-C connector in there. Then we've got the optical flow over here. We have got the Wi-Fi codes around there, and interestingly, I thought this was going to be glossy, but it's not, it's matte. So to put the battery in, you have to slide it into the body a little bit. It's not going to fit like that. It's in there and clip. And yeah, that's about it, really, for the copter. So let's take a look at what else is in the box. So we've got a box within a box. See what's in here. So we have got some prop guards in here. We have got some spare blades. And then we've got a manual there, but I'm a male, so I shall be ignoring that, of course. And then, we have got the controller, and we have got some more stickers on there, and some stickers on the antennas at the top there, and those are in pretty tight actually, so I will just take all of those off there. And we've got another sticker thing on the top. So let's see what connector they have favored. It's going to be Apple, isn't it? Of course it is, hopefully. I have got the other leads in the package somewhere, and of course this is different with the Air. We have got these removable sticks, and you have to screw them in there. So I'll just do that, and if we compare it to the Mavic controller, and watch this, I'll turn the battery on. Look at that, battery 0%. You probably only get a couple of flights with the Mavic controller and the battery is completely run down, and if you fully charge it and leave it, it just goes to 0% after some time. So I'm hoping this one is going to be better. So let's take a look at the controls here. So we do have the EV control missing there, but we do have another button in its place. We've got the camera button there and the record button. We've also got the gimbal there. We don't have the two buttons on the back for controls. However, it does look like we've got a function button on the front. We've got the power button there and the return home. We've got the pause button and the sport button is in the middle there as well. And then we've got a USB connector there. I can't remember what it is on the Mavic Pro. Yeah, it's the same, and it's going to charge via this connector here. You can remove it. So lastly, in the box we have another box. So it feels heavy. This one's probably got the charger in there. So this is just going to charge one battery. We've got stuff falling out. So yeah, that's going to plug into the battery there, and you also have got two USB hubs, so I guess you could charge this at the same time. Here we have got the USB-C connector and also a USB micro there, so got those two types. And then this looks like the adapter for the charger, so yeah, that just plugs into there. We have got a USB-C lead, which is nice because my Android phone is USB-C. And then we've got some other stuff in here as well. So it looks like, oh, we got some spare sticks in there. Yeah, because I can actually see those getting lost. And we've got an adapter in there as well. So that looks like it's USB-C to USB micro. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is charging all of this up, and then your first battery is going to be installing all of the updates. This is something that DJI really need to sort out, because sometimes you can be sat there for an hour while the thing doesn't update and it can use an entire battery. Okay, so it took around about 50 minutes to do all of the updates and also activate the aircraft. I also had to do the DJI safety questionnaire as well. So I've changed a couple of the settings. So when you first boot this up, it will be in photo mode, so I've switched it to video mode, and it's also set it to 4K 30 automatically, and all of the video settings are on auto, so I've left that. And then if we go into the settings up here, so on the first page, I've just set the altitude to 500 meters. I was just interested to see whether it would let you do that, and it does, just like the other DJI models. It does come up with a warning, though, to tell you that you shouldn't fly above 400 feet. I've turned the distance limit off there, and I've also turned all of the object avoidance on, and I've turned beginner mode off because it prompted me to do that. So all of those settings are on there. I've changed the stick mode to mode 1 because I fly mode 1. I haven't gone in and put any expo in there, but it's something that I might want to do. And I might also reduce the low battery warning to around about 20 as well, just so that it doesn't go off early. I think 15 is the lowest it will let you go, but I'm going to leave it around about 20 there. Yeah, I found with the Mavic Pro that these gimbals here, they're a little bit jerky, so I might want to mess around with the expo a little bit there. But yeah, very simple settings. So before I go and fly, I'm going to want to calibrate the compass, and I'll do that off camera because I tend to find that cameras can actually interfere with the compass calibration, and then I'll go and take it for a fly. Okay, so we are ready to go. So I'm going to do the automatic precision takeoff. So we have a little button to click there and then slide to take off. And then DJI has wanted me to fully accept responsibility for my flight. So I'm going to press confirm. And you can see it's gained quite a bit of height. Now it's a very windy day here today. So I'm expecting it to be blown around, but the gimbal is looking solid. Now I'm not gonna be able to cover all of the features that this model can do in one battery, but I figured I'll be able to cover the new things that it does that the other models haven't done in the past. So let's have a look at what the hover is like. As I say, it is getting blown around a little bit, but it's staying in one place. So first of all, let's get him fly around a little bit and see what the feed is like. Looks pretty smooth here. It's asking me to accept responsibility for my flight again for some reason. Look how dull it is around here. It is really dull. So if I just point the camera down a little bit. So these are just all the auto camera settings. And everything's looking pretty good there. Pretty solid and stable. So what I want to do first of all is try APAS. Now I don't have any objects out here other than me, so how about we use me for it to fly at. So if I press the APAS button here, if I can get to it. Problem with these phones that have the tiny bezels on, I can't get to the button. There we go. Safety warning. Yeah, so according to this now, APAS is on. So let's just bring it down here. And then let's fly it at me at full force. Yeah. Just fly to the side of me. Let's try that again. So the entire time it is looking around to see where it could fly around. Yeah, I could see it avoid me. And you know what? It isn't too slow either. It's quite nerve-wracking when this thing flies at you like that. It's always going to that side though. I wonder if I move it a little bit towards my left if it'll still do the same, but the wind is kind of blowing it there. I think I'm missing myself there. Can hear the controller beeping away at me there because it has recognized an object. Yeah, still a little bit too close to myself, I think. Really tricky with the wind here today. I think it's definitely pushing it straight at me and it avoids me. I'm not sure whether that's a good thing or not. I mean, it makes the models more accessible to people who've never flown before, but is that a good thing? Let me know in the comments. Straight at me, and it's gone above me this time. That's pretty awesome, I have to say. It's asking me to confirm my responsibility. Righto, so let's try. I want to do that sphere thing. So if we go into the controller there, and I think it comes under quick shot, I think. Yes. I have to stop the recording to do that, so I'm just gonna do that for now, and then go into there, and then go into quick shot, don't show again, and then I think they call it asteroid, do they? Yeah, okay, let's do one of them things. So first of all, I need to draw a box around me. And now it's got me in shot, and then I press go. 3, 2, 1. And it starts recording and it flies away. And then what it's going to do is it's going to take a load of shots itself to make a 360, and it's going to stitch them together. Why does it keep doing this? Your aircraft has entered enhanced warning zone, restricted airspace. It's not though. That is so annoying. So you can see now it's just scanning around. Makes you wonder whether they will add this to the other DJI models, because as far as I can see, this is a software thing as much as it is to do with the model. But yeah, it's pretty fun. And is it going to come back to me once it's done that? Yeah, it is, because there's a percentage there on the video recording, 92%. So it's still recording. And it comes back to you like that. There we go, and it stopped doing that. Right, let's start the recording again, and let's get some height on. Now, it is very windy here today, so I'm sure it's going to be complaining about that on here. What it does is it recognizes the angle it's having to put in to combat the wind, and if it's too much, then it'll give you a warning. So I've got the height there in feet, and I'm just going to move forward a little bit, because it's never a good idea to go right above you. See how smooth the video is. Now it is breaking up a little bit, see, with this enhanced Wi-Fi over OcuSync. It is breaking up a little bit, but you know, it's still flyable. So no warnings yet, so let's go a little bit higher. We can go up to 400 feet. So it's going up at 4.5 miles per hour. There we go, weak signal detected. Again, probably just because I'm above myself, it's not great for the antennas. So we're at 400 feet there, let's just go a little bit below to be safe. And let's take a look around. There you go, high wind velocity. It seems to say that all of the time, mind. Let's take a look at the roads there, and then the gimbal. Gimbal nice and smooth with the stock settings. Oh, I can hear that bike. And I can follow him. I'm sure he's within the law there. So battery at 45%. Do you think that you are going to notice the flight time with this compared to the Pro? I tend to find with the Pro that you can just end up getting everything done, and then you are sort of left with 10 minutes spare, whereas this one, yeah, 43%. Noticing a little bit of jerkiness through the phone. That could be because of the screen recorder that I'm using. There you go. Right, let's bring it back down, because really the only other automatic mode that I use is the active track. So let's see how quickly it comes down. 3.4 miles per hour. Yeah, pretty slow. Of course that will be different in sport mode. Actually, if I just stop that, go into sport mode, if it'll let me. Sport mode precautions, yes. Let's see how quickly it comes down. Now, stop the recording, thank you for that. Internal storage is unavailable. Yes, switch. Okay, so let's start the recording again. So now it comes down at 6.5 mile per hour, so yeah, it is quicker, but I believe it disables all the avoidance when you come off that. Okay, there it comes. So let's have a go at active track next. Internal storage is full. Do you want switch? Oh, is that the warning from before? So yeah, it looks like you can't do the automatic modes in sport mode because they've disappeared. There we go, it comes back. Oh, APAS was on all of that time as well, so I bet that affects the speed. So I'm going to try and turn that off. So let's do the active track now. I have shown this before, but it is something that I actually use. So draw a box around yourself, type go, and then the thing will follow you, and you can get it to orbit you at the same time, and that is just awesome, I think. So you can move around and it keeps its distance and orbits you as well. Again, about this flight restriction, it did used to be an airfield, this field by the way, but not since World War II. So I'm not sure what that's about. I'm miles away from any airfield or restricted space. Stupid thing. Right, okay, so we'll stop that. That's active track. I really like it. Okay, so 26%. It's getting pretty low, so let's see how accurate the return home is. So I'm gonna take it away down the field. Oh, that's so annoying, DJI. What are you playing at? Network error. Reload this page. What's it doing? Okay, all sorts of errors coming up here. What's it doing? It seems like they still haven't sorted this app out. Is it because now it won't let me close the blooming app and open it back up again. Oh man, is it actually gonna let me go into this? Now it looks like it's returning on its own anyways. I don't know what this app is doing whatsoever. I think it might be because I'm still in active track. So let's go into there and go back into normal mode. There we go, back into normal mode. So it's returning on its own here. And I got something beeping as well. That's just the controller. So it's gaining height there. We're on 18%, so it's getting pretty low here. So yeah, can definitely notice the shorter flight time. It's coming back. So let's see what happens. Let's see where it lands. Hopefully it doesn't fall out of the sky before the battery runs out. Well, it's right above. We're on 15% battery. It says the remaining battery is only enough for the return to home now. It's coming down. I mean, they always land, you know. You don't have to worry about it staying up there. Let's see what it does. It usually sort of gets to the general area and then slows down and then sort of finds itself. So let's see where it lands. Yeah, pretty much exactly where it took off, just a little bit to the side there. So, oh man, Just tricky navigating this software on this controller. But there you go, that is my review of the Mavic Air. I mean, you really can't go wrong with DJI. I'm not sure what was happening with the app. That might have been my fault. I was getting network error and I had to restart the app. I think I left it in active track mode, which it didn't like, so maybe it was that. But yes, I'm going to be doing more content with this, so look out for that. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Please continue to subscribe. Cheers.